All right. Fine. So let me log in into Azure. Yeah. Right. So this was my resource group. So in this resource group, I had two VMs, and in yesterday's class, we have looked into how to take basically backups of them. Backups are generally taken in the same region, and then how to replicate them or how to have a disaster recovery plan. So for that, we have used site recovery. Okay. So if it is VMs, we know how to do it. And also I've said that you can use the same site recovery vault to basically take a replication or a backup of something which is running in your office also, right? Which is on premise. Now this is all good, but how about the database? How about the database which you are basically going to have? So for example, we have a SQL Server database over here. So let us assume that this is a database which I have. Now, for this database, how can I basically configure backups? So that is our topic for today. Azure SQL BCDR, Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery Plan. So I'm quite sure that while learning Azure SQL, we have spoken about two things. Okay. So business continuity and disaster recovery and backups. Okay. So let me write about the section BCDR in Azure SQL. Okay. So how do you do basically the business continuity options? What are the different things which you can possibly do, right? So for this, you should already have an answer because you have tried to learn two things over here. Okay. So this can be performed using the inbuilt feature which is called as geo replication and then something called as failover groups. While learning this, we have said that failover groups will basically give you automatic failover. Failover groups can do multiple databases failover automatically, right? So in failover groups is much more complete. When it comes to geo replication, it is basically to have a different kind of a database on the other end. This is what we have ideally discussed. Okay, right? So the same thing goes for the Azure SQL Elastic Pool also. You will have failover groups and then you will have geo replication. So when it comes to Azure SQL, whenever you are trying to basically speak about okay backups, the way is different. But when it comes to business continuity and disaster recovery, the whole point is you need to go with geo replication and failover groups. Okay, so go and refer through these sections which we have spoken about in the earlier case. In the earlier case, we have while we were discussing about Azure SQL, we have spoken about this. Please go and refer through that. Refer through that. Okay. Now, things which are different when it comes to Azure SQL is Azure SQL backups. Okay. So Azure SQL database automatically creates a backup. Creates the database backup. Okay. The strategy which it uses is read access geo-redundant storage. What do I mean by that? So for example, whenever you're trying to take a backup, okay, so the backup, three copies of that backup will be created, and they will be put in three different places in the same region. Okay, so I am calling it as three different places. If you have zones, it will be put in three different zones, and one copy of the data will be put in a different region. Okay, but rest of the stuff will be within the same region. Will be within the same region. Okay, right. So basically, we have this stuff which is automatic. Now, can I change this backup retentions? Can I change this backup retentions? Can I change any of these activities? The answer to that question is you can basically do that. You can basically do that. So how do you do that? Let us basically look into it. So let me scroll down. Mm, okay. So I want a server. If you get into server, you will see a section called as okay. Let me not do that. Let me select the backups, manage backups. Okay. So whenever you want to work on Azure SQL stuff, basically click on manage backups and then are using configure policies. Select over here and then you can change any of the retention stuffs. Right? So okay. So view dot slash images slash az op 27.png. Now if you select this, okay, and configure retention, okay, so whenever you see point in time backup, how many days of point in time backups do you want? So right now we have the minimum one, which is 7. But if you want, you can change. Okay, for the last 14 days, I can basically go with point in time backup. So you can basically do that. Okay, so the monthly backups, the yearly backups, the weekly backups, you can select any one of these stuffs, any one of these stuffs, right? Which makes your life much more simple because the only thing which you have to basically worry about in Azure as of now is basically trying to tell how many days of backups do you basically want. That's it. That's as simple as it. Okay. Right. So you can play around with this data. So let me give the other screenshot around that. Okay. You select this. Okay. You can go with long-term retention backups, weekly backups, yearly backups, right? So whatever kinds of backup, if your database, you can have a backup till 10 years at a max of 10 years of backup retention you can have. So you can go till that point. So is that required to have a 10 minutes? No, that is not required. Okay. But most important question. Okay. How frequent are the backups taken? Okay. So let me write it as backup frequency. So in SQL Server, there is something called as full backup. Full database backup is taken, sorry, weekly. And then we have something called as differential or incremental backups. Let me write it as incremental or differential DB backups. They are created for every 12 hours. Okay. Transaction log backups. They are created for every 10 minutes. So full backup is complete databases backup. Incremental backup is the changes that, so for every 12 hours you will have changes. And for every 5 to 10 minutes, basically what happens is it will try to have the records of all of the data that is changing in your database. All of the data that is changing in your database. Okay. So due to above frequency, Azure SQL supports point in time restore. So you have to just tell what is the time of the data, or for example, if you want to recover the data, then the only thing which you need to basically do is you need to try to tell, okay, I want to recover now. When I'm basically doing this recovery, what is the exact time which you basically want? That is called as point in time restore. That is called as point in time restore. Okay, fine. So now basically, can I do the restoration? Okay. The answer to that question is yes, you can. You can definitely do the restoration. Okay. So what? How? Let us look into it. Let me get into database. So whenever you're working on Azure SQL, please be very careful. Right? There are certain things which are present on the database, and there are certain things which are present on what do you call the server. So right now, if you want to restore your backups, I'm just trying to fit this image. It's okay, man. I can't. So I'll take two images. Did I save this first of all? 28. Okay. So restoring, how to restore the data from backups. Okay. Right. So for this, okay, the only thing which you need to look into is, am I going to server or a database? This time I'm going to a database. Okay. So to configure backups, I had to go to server. To restore them, I'm working on database. Okay. Now, if you click on restore, see what is it asking. It is asking what is that you want to use. Do you want to use point in time or do you want to use long-term backup retention? Okay. Right. And then you can select your restore point. Okay. And then basically click on OK. Your database will be restored. Your database will be restored. As simple as that. Okay. So restoring the database is very simple. Navigate to the server, navigate to the database, and then select the kind of backup which you want to restore. Okay. Right. So basically, if you want, you can perform this activity programmatically also, but the whole point for that is For that you need to be what do you call for that you need to be writing some sort of API based code. Writing some sort of API based code. Okay, right, fine. Now, have you basically just explore that options? I will be giving you 5 minutes of time. Please go through backup options and the recovery options. When it comes to recovery options, I've basically shown you how to do it. Backup will be on the server and recovery will be on the database. Please explore that. Okay. So are you guys doing that? Yeah. Will you do that? I've shown you the UI. If you have Azure SQL database created, okay, which you should have, go to the server for understanding backups. Go to the database for understanding the recovery. Please go through this UI. Guys, are you doing that? There is no need for you to do the recovery. I just want you to basically go through the options. I don't see any response. Do you want me to give time or do you want me to continue with the next topic which I want to basically discuss? Okay. Okay. So while you are doing that, Okay. Okay, sir. So my last couple of points on this activity. So when it comes to Azure, basically database for MySQL and Postgres, you will have the same options. Okay. So they are not much different. The frequency is same. The backups are automatic. Okay. Automatically created. Okay. And then you have a point in time restore so that you can restore to any point, however you want your options to be. Okay. The only slight difference being in Azure MySQL and Azure PostgreSQL, you have to basically choose what is the kind of backup which you want. Do you want a local redundant storage or a geo redundant kind of a storage? Okay. So this is basically what happens when it comes to relational databases. Okay. Right. Backups for Azure Cosmos DB. Right. So let me proceed this. Proceed with this. Azure Cosmos DB also automatically takes backups. Takes backups. Okay. Right. So I don't write about frequency and all other stuff. Okay. So for example, if you basically there the backup of the data is called as a snapshot. Okay. Right. So here also you have ways of managing your backups and all that stuff. Right. So the whole idea over here is how do you basically restore the backups, right? So in Azure Cosmos DB, it automatically takes the backup. Okay. So the thing which you need to understand is Cosmos DB is a NoSQL DB, and in NoSQL DB you have a data which is, for example, you might have a database which is spanned across multi regions, right? So for that purposes, Azure supports that automatic backups. Okay, and Azure automatically takes a backup every 4 hours. Okay, okay, and only two latest backups are stored. Okay, only two latest backups are stored. Okay, and Azure Cosmos DB stores these backups in something called as Azure Blob Storage, something like Google Drive for the people for whom who don't know this. Okay, so basically the whole data is stored in the what do you call the storage account. Okay, and the other thing what it does is, okay, the whole snapshot is stored in Azure Blob Storage. Okay, so this is the whole point. Okay, so these backups are basically taken without having any impact on your performance, because what happens is it tries to store the data, okay, on of the periodic backups on Azure Blob Storage. Okay, and then from there basically a snapshot is taken. Okay. So can I manage my own backups? The answer of that is yes, you can do that. You have a policy defined, and from that policy you can basically change whatever the way you want to basically take the backups of. But mostly it is already done. You really need not do anything. The only thing which you need to do is you need to, whenever you want to restore your database, you have to tell that I want to restore my database. So over here, if you see, Azure SQL is having, okay, so NoSQL databases have this concept of partitions. Okay, so um, let me not get into deeper, but let me try to tell you how the partition works. So let us assume you have a database over here. You have one server over here. Okay. So generally, these databases, what they tend to do is, okay, they will have the data in multiple servers. Okay. So whenever they receive the data, what they receive is they receive JSON files. They receive JSON files. So what they try to do is, let us assume this is a JSON's first record. Okay. That each record they consider it to be a document. So let me call it as document one. For this document, they create a copy and they store the copy of the document over here. Copy of document one. Okay. And then the document two might be stored over here. And the copy of document two might be stored over here. So these NoSQL databases have this kind of intelligence already. Okay. They create the partition sets and they call it as a replica set and all other stuff. But the whole idea is with this intelligence, they already have the concept of the backup. Already have the concept of backup. What Azure does is Azure adds in something called as an online backup, where it tries to take the backup of this and tries to put it on Azure Blob Storage. Okay, so that you can restore your data from your original Blob Storage, or you can do it in a traditional NoSQL way, whatever you want to do. So Cosmos is little bit different, but nothing to worry about. They are already taken. Okay, and Azure Cosmos DB. Backups can be restored from online backups. It is very simple. Okay. Now, if you go and understand Redis cache, you will have some stuff. So in Azure, okay, you have to understand one thing. We have to be very specific about our backup and recovery policies. Okay, when it comes to virtual machines, but not really databases, because these databases already are platform as a services. And since these are platform as a services, Azure is already giving you an option to Azure automatically takes the backup of, right? So you just need to do the restore. Okay. So for that, you just need to know the options. But if you want to go one level deeper for any stuff, any platform as a service which you try to basically start, please refer what is a backup policy or what is a default backup policy around it. Okay. So for majority of the cases, we look at VM backups, we look at SQL Server backups, and we look at Cosmos backup. Okay. But you can look into this backup for anything that is going to come down the line in the future in Azure. Okay. So that is how this whole concept works. That is how this whole concept works. Now, let us go back to our classes image which I've used. So for this VMs, can I have backup now? Okay. Yes or no? Okay. BCDR strategy for simple architecture. Okay. So let me use MS Paint. So for this, what is it I'll do? For this, I am using, okay, I'll be using black, italic, small size text to tell basically what I'll be using. I'll be using Azure Site Recovery Vault. Okay. So I'll have one site recovery vault which is created in the target region for replication. Okay. So this is my site recovery services vault. What this vault will do? This vault will enable a replication. This vault will enable a replication. Now I'll have Azure Site Recovery Vault for VM backups. Okay. So if I want, okay, if you have replication, you really need not have a backup, but I'm just trying to tell. So from using that, what is that you can take? You can take backups. You can take backups. Okay. Azure SQL. Okay. For replication. Azure SQL for replication. What is that we can do? We will be using something called as failover groups because it supports automatic failover. It supports automatic failover. Right? So for the backup of that, what is that we'll be using? We'll be using the automatic backup scenario of Azure SQL. The same thing comes with Cosmos DB also. Cosmos DB also. So this is what I'm going to write. So for Azure virtual machines, okay, replication, okay, using a site recovery vault in target region. Okay, backup using Azure backup service, which in turn creates a recovery vault or site recovery vault. Site recovery vault in source region. In source region. Okay. So when it comes to for Azure SQLs, a replication, okay, use geo replication or failover groups. I would possibly use failover groups. Backups are basically automatic. Okay. You have to just worry about the disaster recover. You have to just worry about how to restore. Okay. So Azure Cosmos DB. Okay. So you have backups which are automatic. Okay. When it comes to replication, you have a concept of partitions. Okay. You have a partitions which are basically local distribution and geographical distribution in Cosmos database. That's it. So we have a backup and disaster recovery plan for virtual machines, Azure SQL, and then even a NoSQL kind of a database. Tomorrow, let us assume your organization is using something like Synapse. So find out how Synapse's backups and how disaster recovery can be done, and you can find that information in the Microsoft documentation itself. That's it. This is how you design the business continuity and disaster recovery. So any doubts do we have on this? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. No doubts. We are crystal clear. Okay. So I think we will look into Azure Bastion. Okay. Remember, if you have, is there any question? Right. If you are taking backups, where can we find DB dumps of backup? Okay. See, basically, you will not find the DB dumps of backup. Whenever you click on restore, that is where you will find it. Okay. You will not be seeing them all the time. So if you click on restore, then you are seeing long-term retention backups, and then you are basically looking at the options, right? So you don't look at dumps. Okay, you just look at options. This is a finished product. This is not a raw product. Yeah. Shiva, am I clear? Yeah. So yeah, we don't basically look at. Can we stop automatic backups so that we can save budget? So this is already included in the budget money. So you don't basically change it. What you can do is you can change the frequency of it. You cannot say that I don't want backups. Okay, for past services. If you have created your own virtual machine, and then if you have created your own what you call SQL server in that, you can do whatever you want. Okay, but in the case of past services, if you go for Azure SQL, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Redis, you cannot basically disable automatic backups. Okay, right. Okay, and you are not saving any cost. It is already included in the cost. Okay. Right. Okay then. If you are using unmanaged database like Oracle, then which option do you have to basically use? Then you have to use the option with respect to what your what you call. Then basically you have to use the option which is suggested by your DBA. Okay, because if it is unmanaged database, Microsoft the only thing which Azure will try to offer is it will try to offer the raw storage. You can use that raw storage to take backups. Okay, but how to configure the backups, it depends on your DBA. So Dheeraj, the answer to your question is speak to the Oracle DBA, because it is not a managed database. Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm quite sure that everyone in this classroom, okay, see how long the restoration time. It depends on restoration time. Depends on what is the size of your data, right? Size of your data. This is not dependent on Azure. Okay. So what Azure does is Azure gives you a fast recovery options, because they are locally available also, because I have said that there are 3 copies of data, right? 3 copies are present in the same region, and 1 copy goes to the other region in the case of Azure SQL. So it will be fast. But if your database is terabytes of size, then it will take time to restore, right? So it depends on your size of your data. It is same as what happens in your organization, right? Okay. But understand one thing: we have transactional log backup, which is 5 minutes old. So it will be much better than what happens in your organization, right? Okay, fine. So I'm quite sure that in the resource group called as operations, which I have one virtual network. I have one virtual network. Okay. Where is my virtual network? CommerceNet. So in this virtual network, if you remember, we have created 3 subnets. Okay. So generally in this architecture, if you look, my web subnet is and app subnet, I have my virtual machines I have given public IP address, if you remember. Okay. But in reality, what will happen is, okay, your virtual machines, okay, I'm removing this. Your virtual machines will just have private IP. They will not have public IP. If they don't have a private IP, how can you connect to this virtual machines? Okay. They will not be basically opening it up to the internet. Okay. No one wants to open their servers to the internet. So what they do is they will create one load balancer. This load balancer will be connected from internet, and this load balancer will speak with your servers. This is what in reality what happens in any of the enterprise applications. Now, I want to log in into this machine to fix something. So is there any way? Okay. So for this earlier, what the approach was, we used to create one subnet. We used to create one subnet, and this subnet we used to call it as management subnet. Okay. So in this, we used to have one VM with public IP address. With public IP address. Okay. So from our office, we used to log in into this machine. Okay. And from this machine is in private network. Both are in the same network. So we used to connect it to this machine. So log in into management subnet. There create a VM and using that VM try to connect to the other machines in your network, in your Azure network. So these kind of machines which help basically in doing that are generally referred as jump boxes or bastion hosts. Are generally referred as jump boxes or bastion hosts. Machines which are in public subnet, which help you to connect to the machines in the private subnet, are basically considered as bastion hosts. Okay. Now what Azure has said is there is no need for you to basically create that virtual machine. Okay. I am giving you that as a service. So if you go to virtual machines, okay. So let me go to this web by NST. So if you click on connect, you are seeing this third option over here. Okay. So let me click on this third option. This third option, whenever I click, okay, let me save this. Okay. This is not basically very widely used, but we should know it. This is a new thing that has basically came in Azure. Okay. Right. So click on use Bastion. So Bastion is a service. Bastion is a service. Okay. Which is on demand. Now it tries to tell that, okay, to do this, you need to have a subnet. You need to have a subnet created, and that subnet's basic name has to be this. Okay. So your virtual machine, needs to have a subnet named as this. Okay. So let me use. Mm, okay. So here. So what is that you need to do? Create a subnet in virtual network with Azure Bastion subnet as its name. Okay. This should be the actual name. You cannot go use any other name. Okay. So the name of the subnet should be Azure Bastion subnet. Okay. So now let me go and create a subnet called as Azure Bastion subnet. So I'll go to home. I'll go to virtual networks. And if you remember, our network's name was CommerceNet. I'll go to subnets. What is the name it should have? Azure Bastion subnet. So I'll add a subnet. You have to give the exact name. Azure Bastion subnet. Is the name matching? Azure Bastion subnet. Okay. So try to create this and click on OK. Okay. Okay, I've created Azure Bastion subnet. Okay, so with this, you really don't need to create a virtual machine now every time to help your connections. You can go to the virtual machines. Okay, web by NST. Now connect Bastion, use Bastion. So if you remember now it is not throwing me any error because I have the subnet configuration. Okay, now this is okay. Click on create. Okay, you can go through these options and then click on create. Okay, so now let us wait for the new bastion to be created. New bastion to be created. Okay, so this might be very useful option in your enterprise setups. Right. Okay, Azure Bastion is a service offered by Amazon, offered by Azure, which eliminates, which eliminates the need for management subnet with one VM running to help connect to machines in private subnets. Okay. So I think I have created what are the images 31 to 35. Right. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So let us wait for this bastion to be created. Okay. Okay. And now I can do one more thing. Azure Bastion. I think Azure Bastion will give us one wonderful image. Uh, not this. So we have to understand the documentation and pricing of it. So let me do Azure Bastion documentation. All right. Okay. So this is exactly what happens. So now whenever you're connecting from Azure portal into this Azure Bastion, which gives you some kind of connectivity to basically enable this option. Okay. So just know not many people understand about this. Okay. Azure Bastion. How? Oh man. Azure Bastion is helps in connecting Azure VMs. Okay. Right. So this is basically a service. Okay, so obviously you will have some pricing around it also, so you would have some kind of pricing around it. Okay, so you need to basically work about with respect to that that pricing also. So let us look into Azure Bastion pricing. Okay, all right, fine. So if you use Azure Bastion, basically the price is 12 rupees per hour. Okay, and understand one thing, you might find this too much more, but understand we will be using the same Bastion for multiple machines. Okay, so whenever you use this Bastion, and if you use the transfer, the amount of data that you are transferring using this Bastion is less than, for the first 5 GB it will be free. After that you would be basically increasing. This is the cost. Okay, so do we need an Azure Bastion every time? It might be the choice which you can take. Okay, but how Azure Bastion can be connected? This is how it can be connected. What it can connect to? It can connect to a Windows machine and it can connect to a Linux machine. Okay, so now if you see, it is asking the username and password after this. Okay, so I'll give my username and password. Right, so fine. I think I have given the username as YouTube. Okay, so am I able to connect to Windows remote desktop? Come on, man. Okay. Okay, so this is what an Azure Bastion can do. Okay, I have tried it for Windows machine. Okay, if you want, you can try the same thing for Linux machine also. So home, virtual machines, app inst. Okay, connect Bastion. Okay, sorry, saying so. Okay, so this is what it would look for a Linux machine. Did I save this? Yeah. Okay. So now for Linux machine, this is how it would. So you really don't need one machine to connect to the machines in the private subnet. You can do it from your portal, and for that Microsoft has given a service which is called as okay, so Microsoft has given one kind of a service which they call as Azure Bastion, and obviously you will be charged for this. For some of the people it might be a very interesting service. Okay, because you don't need an extra machine. But yeah, I'm using the same Azure Bastion to connect to multiple machines. So you can connect the same Bastion to connect to the multiple machines. This is exactly why we had basically architecturally spoken about this Bastion subnet. This Bastion subnet has to be Azure Bastion subnet, which helps you to connect to the machines in your private subnets using an RDP protocol or SSH protocol. This is exactly what it is. Yeah, it is both for RDP and okay. So is Azure Bastion similar to Route 53? No, sir. Actually, Azure Bastion, what is it trying to do? It is trying to help you to connect to the machines. Or is it resolving DNS? Okay. Route 53 is equivalent to Azure DNS. DNS, it is a DNS service. It is a DNS service. Right. Okay. Uh, oh, you want me to add the pricing also, right? Okay, I can do that. Okay. For this, Azure Bastion machine will be in public IP. You see, Azure Bastion machine has to be in public IP to give you the private connectivity, right? So it will be in a public subnet. It will be in a public subnet. Okay. Is there any other service other than Bastion or Gembox? Sir, first of all, Bastion and Gembox are not services. Azure Bastion is a service. Gembox and Bastion host are the names architectural. Okay. Are the names which they are called architectural. Okay. Right, sir. So I'll be stopping it at that, and we'll continue our discussion with the next topic in our next class. Thanks. Thanks for your time. Okay, guys. Thanks.